Okay, this is like the most books I've ever had on here. That one get, oh okay, that was close. Hey guys, it's Diana and it's time for my Sailor Moonathon / May wrap up. The Sailor Moonathon was actually supposed to run from the 1st of May to like the 20th of May, but they decided to extend it all month, which is fantastic because I was not doing so well in the beginning of May with reading. It was honestly a bit rough. I chose 13 books for 13 different prompts, but I only ended up getting through 7 of them, which I think is a pretty respectable number, to be honest. And I didn't actually expect to get through all 13 books because I was just coming off of April's Owls. But all in all, I am actually pretty proud of myself. I'm also going to throw in my June TBR at the end of this video because I do TBRs a little differently now than I did before, and I figure they just kind of go together. But enough talking about it, let's get on to it. The first book I read for the Sailor Moonathon was Stephanie Garber's Caravelle. This is a story about two sisters, Scarlet and Tella, and right before Scarlet is to be married, Tella whisks her off to Caravelle, which is a circus performance that the girls have been waiting to see pretty much their entire lives. When Scarlet gets to Caravelle, Tella is nowhere to be found, and she realizes that she has been made part of the game. And Scarlet, along with all the other players, are tasked with finding Tella to win a wish. It's a very cool idea, and I liked certain things about this, the ambiance, the setting, and some of the ideas contained within a whole lot, but overall I felt the story did not make much sense at the end. I did not feel that the story set itself up for the way that it ended. It was both neat and sloppy at the same time, in that everything wrapped up very nicely in the end, but it made no sense how it happened. That being said, I do plan on continuing on with the series because what I did like, I liked a lot, and I'm hoping that it gets better. I gave this book 2.5 stars. The second book I read for the Sailor Moonathon was April Genevieve to Cholk's Wing Poppy Midnight. This is a story told from 3 different perspectives about the events of one summer. The reader is left to kind of suss out the reality of the situation, but none of the characters have a great grip on reality themselves, so it's kind of difficult. What stopped me from giving this book a lower rating was the writing style itself. It was very sharp and glittery. Not like flowery, sparkling prose, but more like light catching on the blade of a knife in the dark, if that makes sense. The writing is very sharp and cutting. It feels like a sucker punch a lot of the time. There are lines that you just go, oof. And that really worked for me and for the story that they were trying to tell. It's just that I don't think the story they were trying to tell made much sense. Similarly to Caravelle, at the end of this novel, you're kind of going, wait, what just happened? And if you think too much about it, it kind of does fall apart. But like I said, what saved it from being a 1-star read for me was the writing style. I ended up giving this book 2 stars. The third book I read for the Sailor Moonathon was Danielle Clayton's The Bells. The Bells takes place at Okay, Diana, you can do this. You can say words. The Bells takes place in a dystopian society where some women are born with the power to control, enhance, and create beauty. This is particularly helpful because in Orleans, people are born with gray skin, straw for hair, and red eyes. They are not cute. But they desperately want to be beautiful, so they employ bells to make this happen and pay them exorbitant fees and treat them like kind of royalty, but also kind of like shit at the same time. The story follows Camellia, who wants to be the favorite, which is the belle that works for the queen and her family, but once she gets to the palace, she realizes that bells are a little bit more than they seem, and the world surrounding them is not what it seems. Basically, Homegirl is in for a real wild ride. I felt like the story itself was unique and original and dealt with concepts that were both relevant and new, at least in the current state of the YA genre. But I didn't feel compelled to go out and get the second book when I finished, and I didn't find it particularly gripping. Overall, I gave it 3 stars. I do plan on reading the second book in the series, but I'm not in a hurry. The next book I read for the Sailor Moonathon was Mary H.K. Che's Emergency Contact. Emergency Contact follows Penny, who gets entangled with her roommate's former family member, and they form a textual relationship that they both kind of use to get through the difficult parts of their lives. This was cute, but it was also realistic, and then it dealt with heavier topics. Trigger warning for sexual assault, although it doesn't happen within the novel, it is part of one of the characters' pasts. I felt like the relationship was believable and organic and meaningful, and I really enjoyed their development. And I appreciate that it dealt with heavier topics in a way that felt accessible and authentic. I gave this book 4 stars. The next book I read for the Sailor Moonathon was Casey McQuiston's Red, White, and Royal Blue. I fucking love this book. This was a perfect thing for me to read. It is a perfect thing to exist in this world. It follows Alex Claremont Diaz, whose mother is the President of the United States. He is in a long-standing feud with Prince Henry from England, and it's just kind of adorable. After a disastrous event at a royal wedding, Alex and Henry are forced to make nice for the paparazzi, and they end up falling in love. This book was like a warm cup of tea, a blanket, and a hug for everyone who might be feeling afraid in this world, particularly right now. It was full of hope, it was uplifting, it was wonderful, it was lovely. I can't even express to you how much this made my heart sing. The banter, the dialogue, the communication between them, the unfolding of the story, everything about it was just wonderful, beautiful, perfect. Insert positive adjective here. I really love this book. I highly recommend it. I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read for the Sailor Moonathon was Natasha Nagan's Girls of Paper and Fire. This is about a girl named Lei who is selected as one of the paper girls for the Demon King. Every year, 8 women are selected and they're sent to the palace to serve as his concubines. Lei is super not happy with this turn of events, but there's nothing she can do about it. And when she gets to the palace, she meets one of the other concubines. Her name is Ren. And slowly over time, they develop feelings for each other and enter into a forbidden relationship. It's a really neat concept. I don't think it's very well explained, and the magic system overall is not well explained. I was really hoping to get more on that, but hopefully in the next book we will get more on that because it's one of the more interesting aspects of the novel. At least for me, I'm always interested in the magic and how it works and what the rules are. This book is weird because it's lush and descriptive, but it describes the things that I'm not that interested in hearing about and none of the things that I am interested in hearing about. But I do like Lei and Ren as characters and a lot of the other paper girls, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with the series when the next book is published. I gave it 4 stars, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's more of a 3.5. The last book I read for the Sailor Moonathon was Anna Marie McLemore's When the Moon Was Ours. This book follows Miel, a girl who can grow roses from her wrist, and Sam, a boy who hangs the moon for her. And it's a story of how they came to be who they are as individuals and who they are to each other. It is gorgeous, and I mean flat out gorgeous. It's magical realism mixed with fairy tales, and I loved every line of it. Seriously, this book was gorgeous and it had a lot of great representation in it. Sam is a Pakistani-American trans boy, and Miel is a Mexican-American girl. And it contains elements that are both fantastical and so grounded in aching reality that you just don't know what to do with yourself. It is a gorgeous coming-of-age tale about what it means to love someone and the many ways you can do that. The prose itself is as magical as the story is. I don't think there's a line in here that I wasn't in awe of. If this sounds like your cup of tea, I strongly, strongly, strongly urge that you read it. I gave it 5 stars. This might look a little different because randomly one part of my footage apparently did not record. So I had to come home and re-record part of this footage. So if I look different, it's because it is actually like 12 hours later. And thus concludes the Sailor Moonathon. I had a great time doing this readathon. Thank you so much to Bee for creating it. It was fantastic, and thank you so much to Princess for being head of Team Mercury. We killed it. I am pretty sure something was in Team Saturn's water because they knocked it out of the park. They read an incredible number of pages. We didn't do too bad. I think we did a pretty good, we made a strong showing, you guys. I'm very proud of Team Mercury. But overall, it was a great experience, and I can't wait to see what Bee comes up with next. As for my June TBR, I do it a little differently now. I pick a handful of books that I'd like to get around to in June. They are probably not the only books I'm going to read in June, nor do I have to read these books in June. These are just the ones that are kind of on my list for this month. I recently visited my local library, so I'm going to prioritize the books that I checked out from the library because they have like a 2-week limit on them, so I need to finish them first. The first book on my TBR is actually one that I'm currently reading, and it's The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. I'm enjoying it so far. I think Hypnos is my favorite out of all of the cast, even though we don't get a point of view in this book with him. I do hope he gets one in later books though, like barring nothing catastrophic happens at the end of I hope nothing happens at the end of this. The next book I plan on reading is Frances Hardinge's A Skinful of Shadows. This is about a girl with the unfortunate affliction that ghosts can inhabit her body and take over. I've seen a lot of K-dramas with this idea and they're always fun, so I'm looking forward to reading something a little bit weirder. The next book I plan on reading is Jen Wilde's Queens of Geek. This follows 2 different people with crushes and how they go about dealing with them at a convention. I'm on a female-female love story kick, and this has a female-female love story in it, and I believe a bi-main character. So I'm really excited to read something fun and uplifting and something that will feel good to me because I happen to love cons and I'm a fangirl at heart, so this setting is kind of really cool to me. And the last book I want to get to in June is Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman's Gemini. I fucking loved Illuminae. I just lent it to my boyfriend, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna love it too, and then he's gonna want this, but I haven't read this yet, so I have to finish this before I can give this to him, because this is one of the series where I'm not okay with him being ahead of me. This is one of my ride or die series that I just have a lot of feelings for, and I don't want him to get ahead of me, as weird as that sounds. Like, I'm fine with him reading it like at the same time as me, but I don't want him to get ahead of me and know things that I don't know, because I don't like that idea. I'm very protective of the series because I did not care when he went ahead of me with V.E. Schwab's like Shades of Magic series. Like, he's allowed to finish that one, but I want to stay ahead of him on this one, or at least like read it when he is reading it so that nobody is ahead of the other one. There you have it, my Sailor Moonathon wrap up and my June TBR. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or if you plan to read any of these books and what you thought about them. Like I said earlier, I have the 90s music book tag to film and the book boyfriend tag, or the boyfriend book tag. I can't remember which comes first, and they should be coming within the near future. In the meantime, let's talk. What are you up to? What are you doing? What are you reading? How's life? All right, that's it from me. Have a fantastic day and be excellent to each other. Bye!
you.